Welcome to the Content Podcast, Conversations with Silicon Valley's Creatives. I'm Daniel Garcia, your host and the cultivator of Content Magazine, published by SV Creates.
Hello, Ralph here.
Today we talk with Ralph Buenconsejo. He's a graphic designer and an animator.
Hey, Ralph, how you doing? This is Daniel.
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Welcome to the Content Podcast.
Yeah, this is awesome, man.
Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to talk to you just to kind of get some background on what you're doing. And at this point in your career, how would you kind of describe yourself?
I would describe myself as, I guess, a new body in the creative field. I just recently went independent about 8 months ago, ish, or 6 months ago, ish. I actually went independent back in late December, so I'm still definitely new in a new body or a new person in the in the independent freelance creative field.
Yeah, and what's kind of, would you say, is kind of like your specialties? What do you bring to the table?
My main focus is really animation and web design. The reason of starting all that is really I'm just completely in love with design in general, and that this is the outlet in being of service to people and in the community in general. So so I think my focus really is mostly in the web and animation section.
Yeah. When did you kind of like get the bug for design and art? When did that kind of start?
Well, for art, it started in high school. I think that's so long ago. It was like 2003, 2002. That's when it really started, just airbrushing T-shirts, pants, shoes, and that started making money. So I figured I'd follow that direction in hopes to never get never get a job in a retail shop or anything. So so that was really one of the main driver of not having to work at a retail shop or a restaurant or anything.
Were you always drawing though as a kid? Were you always kind of messing around?
Yeah, I was always drawing as a kid, cartoons, and then when I got into skateboarding, I would replicate whatever was on the deck, pretty much.
That's cool. Then did you go to school for graphic design and web design?
I did for graphic design. Web design came years after I graduated.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say, Daniel, that as far as like going to school for creative, it's not the only way. There's definitely a lot of resources out there right now where you don't have to go to school for it. As long as you're disciplined enough to self-educate yourself, you're good.
Yeah. So then for the web design aspect, did you teach yourself then, like YouTube videos or something like that, or?
I did, but what really kickstarted was I got into Baunfire and got introduced into web there. And from, being there, I just fell in love with it. And so after work hours, when I was there, I would literally just look at YouTube stuff, sign up for master classes or Skillshare classes.
Yeah.
So it's been years of doing that and trying to figure things out.
Yeah. So when you were hired at Baunfire, that was kind of your first full design position?
Yeah, I mean that was, in my perspective, that was the first real design job where it was like designer-ish, if that makes sense. Because I've worked for like corporate companies, doing motion graphics and the basic graphic design, prints and stuff, but there was never really like a high expectation or high standard. So that was really the first place where I was introduced to like a high standard or high level of design.
Yeah.
So the guys over there are just amazing and, helped me kickstart that side of things.
Yeah. So that you worked with them then up until December when you kind of branched out on your own, right?
Yeah. So, and still currently, we still work together. We're still extremely close, and they're just family, man. I love that. But yeah, I was with them for 5 years, and recently just branched out and just doing my own thing, really.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So, what's been some of the interesting challenges of kind of branching out on your own?
Well, one is really to finding the right clients or connecting with the right clients. And the first, I guess that's really the biggest thing in the beginning. Yeah. And I did get a head start like 6 months before I actually left, or maybe even a little more than that. I was already kind of intentionally trying to connect with people in hopes that it would lead into a project or something. So by the time I did go independent, there was already stuff lined up, and I've had enough connection to where it was safe to make that jump, I guess. So it wasn't too big of a jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of hours put in. So it would be like, working at Baunfire, and then after hours, it's just another shift of working. You know what I mean? On the freelance side.
Yeah.
So it was pretty intense. But that was the biggest. I think that was one of the biggest challenges so far. And new challenges are coming up. I think now that there are clients, now it's figuring out ways to connect with them more on a human level, because right now it's very transactional.
Yeah.
It's very oriented. So I'd love to, figure out a way to humanize that a little more, be more involved on a personal level.
Yeah. So when you say it's more transactional, what do you mean?
It's like, hey, I have a project. So for example, hey, I have a project. Would you be able to do it? I'd say yes. And, ask them more questions, due dates and whatnot. And then from there, it would just be strictly business, and I think being more human is maybe like, for example, if I get a project or a lead, I would send them like a nice care package with a personal note, some personal artwork or something. Some small stuff, items like that, or thank you packages, where it's like every project that that's in completion, I would send them like a thank you gift or something like that, and and in meetings, I'm also starting to try to connect with them more on a personal level.
Yeah.
Versus like strictly business. But I know it's hard because people have. I need to respect people's time, and there's that balance too.
Yeah. So you're saying, like, for you then, I mean, kind of with this is that you want to build a business reputation or a lifestyle, where it's kind of like it's a mixture where it's like kind of you're working with friends in a way and you're developing it with them. Is that kind of what you're thinking and desiring?
Yeah, that is ultimately the goal. I have that with a couple clients right now. One of them being Baunfire, they're family, so I love working with them. And there's a couple of clients that are like that, but if I can be like that with all the clients, that would be amazing.
Yeah. And what would be the reason for going out on your own? There's things to weigh, like you said. You had to work the full-time job, and you're trying to hustle to build your own. And what's the reason? I mean, because to work for a company or a design firm like Baunfire is a good living too. So what was your kind of motivation to go out on your own?
Yeah, no, that was definitely a really good living. The motivation really is to allow myself to be okay and be held accountable to all the small mistakes and small wins in the creative journey, I guess, without swimming in like guilt or feeling bad. So for example, if I mess up on a project, then I go into this hole of like, like regrets, and I feel bad because it's affecting this person's business, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this kind of allowed me to to not do that. And if I make a mistake, then I make a mistake. It's easier for me to move forward now and to hold myself accountable for everything, really. And I just wanted to be able to explore different ways of doing things. For example, different ways of, approaching, of humanizing the whole transaction, the whole business transaction and whatnot.
Yeah. And then what does that mean, though? I mean, like working with clients, I mean, a lot of times, you have to deal with the balance between what they might want or they want something in the end that you weren't really super satisfied. How do you work with that? And
man, that's such a good question, man. That, in the world of design, design isn't. This is why I don't believe design is like a true art form. I think it's just. I think it is. It's a business practice. Like the practice is art, but really it's for business. So it's kind of a mix between business and art.
Sure.
The approach of the business problems is through a creative practice, pretty much. So with that said, when it comes to clients, unless they say, hey, we want the specific style that you do or whatever that you've done before, unless they say that, then the approach is, the goal is to really service this client at a creative level, based on what they want. So it's really trying to listen and figuring out, what they're really looking for, because sometimes clients don't know what they're looking for, and my job would be to help them find that out, figure that out.
Yeah.
So on top of creating whatever the project is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that in itself is a craft in its own, where it's learning how to decipher what the clients are saying, figuring out what they really want, and as a creative, the biggest hurdle that someone needs to get over would be that this is like art, like a practice of doing art and creative practice, but this isn't your art piece. This is a solution for a business.
Yeah.
So that's really the main, because the reason why, and that's a really good question, because I struggled with that for so many years, and just being so upset because it's like, oh my God, it's turning out so bad because they're asking for these crazy things and it doesn't make sense. But putting yourself in their shoes, it helped me get over that, and being more in the idea or perspective of I am of service at a creative level.
Yeah.
Versus like this is my art. This is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's the hard part, right? Is realizing you're providing a service with your skills and still your expertise and style and experience, but at the same time you're providing a service. So like if you're a painter and they say, I want my house painted blue, and you think, oh, this would look better black, you could tell them, but at the end of the day, it's like you're the one who's going to paint it and do a great blue paint job.
Exactly. And there is, again, that is a craft in its own, and there are ways where you can kind of guide them towards a direction you want. And I haven't gotten to a point where I'm like extremely good at that yet, but I've definitely gotten better at that. That's
always the big challenge. I mean, I think everybody, right, wants to be the designer or the creative, where people come and say, we need this, just do it. You know what I mean? To have that free reign. But that's so few people really get to be able to be at that point, Yeah,
exactly.
And there's still parameters, right? I mean, no matter what client.
Exactly. There's always parameters. And if anything, it's better with parameters. Otherwise, it's free for all. Sometimes is a lot harder than with guidelines and rules.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I mean, So you would say that you kind of like some restraints if you're jumping into a project.
Yeah, I've definitely found myself loving restraints, rules, and limitations, because in design there is a lot of rules. There's always a system that you kind of have to establish to make sure it's consistent throughout everything you're working on, whatever that company might be.
Yeah. So now, kind of being on your own or kind of branching out, what is your routine? Like, what's your daily routine? How do you don't have to get up and go into the office now. At least that's a way.
Yeah.
So what are you kind of doing to help build yourself, your company, with those kind of aspects?
Well, one is I've been doing a lot of like self searching, even like years before going independent, and I think once I've gone independent is where I really put everything I've learned into practice. So a lot of it is really just making sure I'm self-disciplined the moment I wake up.
Yeah.
So the routine really is, in the morning I wake up, make my coffee, chill out for a second, and then I take a really cold shower.
Oh, okay.
That gets me up, and I read a bunch of science facts behind it, like it's good for immunity, and
yeah,
it's good, and whatever. There's a whole thing about that. And then I do have a notebook. I write down my intentions for the day, business-wise and personal-wise, and from there I start figuring out what I'm going to do that day. And sometimes I do all of it, sometimes I don't. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, after the morning routine, it's really just going into work and going about my day. What I did find is that I feel like working from home feels like it's definitely longer, like it's an all-day thing. Like, yeah, when I had the 9 to 5 or whatever it was, it felt nice because you were out of the office and work was it was still in your head, but there was a trigger in your body or in your mind where it's like you're not at work anymore.
Yeah.
But at home, it's definitely longer hours, and it feels like it's nonstop almost, but in a good way. I do love it.
Yeah, it is kind of a trade-off. Like to work from home, in some ways there's a freedom to have a flexible schedule and do different things. But then to work somewhere else, it's kind of nice because it's really kind of set. And I kind of find, even when I go into our office, which is only like 2 blocks from my house, I find like I'm a little bit more intense on getting things done, where I'm at home, I'm working on it, and yet even my pace may be a little bit, I don't want to say slower, but not as concise. I don't know. So then I end up working more.
No,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel it. That's why I think the morning routine is extremely important, because there are times where I don't take a cold shower. I skip a step. I don't write on my notebook to set my intentions or whatever.
Yeah.
And that goes on for like a couple days, and then I'm like, damn, I need to get back to it. That's a lot of self-discipline.
Yeah.
There's definitely way more initiatives to discipline myself.
Yeah.
Working from home.
So the cold shower thing, I mean, I saw, I never saw, but then there was this show my wife had on. It was Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop show, and they had some crazy Australian or Nordic guy, and he was doing this cold thing. How did you hear about the cold shower thing?
I heard, I listened to a lot of podcasts and whatnot, and one of them is impact theory, and that's a lot of like health and business and stories about how people, go from rags to riches and whatnot. Yeah. And a lot of them have a common theme of creating a morning ritual, and one of them is cold showers. And I looked more into it, and it seems like a lot of these, successful people are doing it. And when I was looking into it, there's just a lot of like health benefits to it, and it's also like a good start to your day to be in a uncomfortable situation.
Huh.
It just, for me, it really does help me in that sense where it's like the rest of the day, if it's uncomfortable, if I have to do something uncomfortable, it's not a big deal. It's like I just do it. I just get in it.
Yeah. Huh. Kind of shock the system, build tolerance, and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So a cold shower and a warm cup of coffee.
Yeah, pretty much. And then just writing yourself down, like what's happening today, what's the intention today.
Yeah, that's cool. What's something that's exciting you for the future?
Well, Buenconsejo, I'm really excited for it. I'm still new to the game, so I'm excited to be a newcomer. Like, I'm excited to be the new guy.
Yeah.
To be the guy that probably will make a lot of mistakes, but it's fine because that's part of it. I think learning from mistakes is exciting. I think right now Buenconsejo is at a place where I'm happy with, but I know that it can be so much more. So really, I'm excited about that. I'm excited for this, coronavirus situation to pass.
Yeah.
I miss going out to like local events and.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, it's just the business and seeing how the current projects are going to turn out within the next couple months. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of things to be excited about as far as work goes.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, so what would be one music artist you would recommend?
Music artist, local or?
Yeah, let's do one local and one maybe international, global, cosmic.
Cool. So local, I'm biased because my cousin is a musician. His name's Yes2, or Christian. Yes, Yes.
Okay.
And the Mild Monk. I know you know him for sure.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's dope. Yeah, so those guys, Something Okay, they're all dope, man. I've been following them. And on a global scale, it would be Big Sean. Because he talks about so much about, like hustling and staying focused. And it sounds like another, like, rap song that you'd hear on the, radio, but his content, his actual, like, lyrics is actually really good and inspiring.
Yeah, cool. Is that what do you put that on your headphones, some of those guys, when you're doing your designs, or?
Yeah, if I need to, like, think, then I have like the instrumentals on low on the background. But if I'm like driving or just chilling, I put on Big Sean to hype myself up.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cold shower, cup of coffee, and Big Sean, and you're set.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're taking over the world.
Yeah, he has the song called "Nothing Is Stopping You," and that song is literally what I played for like 2 years straight every day.
Awesome.
And I just it's amazing.
Good. All right, last thing. What words of wisdom would you give to somebody who's maybe was just starting out and looking to pursue a career in graphic design or web design?
Wisdom, man, that's tough. I would say to commit yourself to it, meaning don't half-ass it. If it's something that you want to do, like, find a way to love it and love it even more, because if it's going to be something you do every day, it'll be a lot easier if you actually, like, really love doing it. So one is, like, building up that desire and passion for the craft.
Yeah.
And two is, once you've built up that desire, then that'll help you to easily hustle a 16-hour day on it.
Yeah.
So, like, that 16-hour will feel like a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So in general, it's just building that desire and then using that desire to fuel your hustle.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, good. Thanks, Ralph. I really appreciate it. I thank you for even helping out with different content projects, and I'm excited about the latest illustration that you did that's going to be coming out. Should be coming out in the mail to people within the next week or so. So for it looks really good.
Fun, man.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll be talking and working together much more in the future. And how do people find you?
at Buenconsejo, really. That's really where I'm mostly at.
Instagram is the best one?
Yeah, Instagram at Buenconsejo.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Enjoy your the rest of your shelter in. And
Cool. I will.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Follow Ralph on his Instagram, Buenconsejo. Thank you for listening to the Content Magazine podcast. Please follow us on social media at ContentMag and subscribe by going to our website, content-magazine.com. This episode's music is Muddy Water from Sakura's 2020 release, Coming Home Soon.